Eminem. Everyone knows who Eminem is, the rapper. On the song "Fuck Off," they go back and forth, kind of like in a rap battle type deal. One takes one like verse, chorus, and such like that, and they each have their own like go at it, and it's actually really cool. Like I'm not, like I said, I'm not a rap guy, so like I'm not even an Eminem guy. I don't have nothing from Eminem. Never really got into him or anything like that. But it is actually really cool to see like Kid Rock can more than capable of holding his own against anybody as far as rapping goes, because we just haven't seen that over the past 25 years. Yo, welcome into the Crash Course Smell Show. Today we're going to be doing another Four Squared, but this one is going to be Four Squared in Kid Rock's catalogs. And that is going to consist of these four albums, the 1998 Devil Without a Cause, and also we had 2000's The History of Rock, which I know is kind of like a compilation, but there are re-recorded, remixed tracks from his previous albums. And I actually didn't even know that it wasn't a brand new studio album until like a year or so ago. So I threw that in there as well. And then we're also going to be looking at 2001's Cocky. And then finally coming around here, we have 2003's self-titled Kid Rock.
Do we have terms?
We have terms.
So first and foremost, we will be talking about the 1998. You know, a lot of people this is their introduction to Kid Rock, and it was I wouldn't say it was mine because I remember even first hearing about Kid Rock when I was like 8 or 10 years old, between 8 and 10 years old. A buddy of mine, he bought the Cocky album, I think, or his parents got it for him or whatever. And I was also a fan of WWF Attitude, like the Attitude era. And, everyone knows as The Undertaker, he was his American Badass around that time. So this is around like 2000, 2001, very late 1999 even. So like I heard Kid Rock from The Undertaker and from WWF because that was a big thing at the time. So, and it never regained its popularity as far as WWF, in my opinion. Like, as far as because you had this weird time in just in media in general and TV. You had like in the late 90s, early 2000s, like certainly like an Attitude Era, like there was a because you had new metal at the time, you had rap, really gangster rap, kind of becoming a thing, like is the thing and stuff like that. But as far as this album goes, it did go like 14 times platinum, crazy enough to think about that. So it is technically diamond, which is crazy, to think about that. But at the time, it was very you know, I don't know if I would say groundbreaking because you do have, you combine a lot of elements here. You combine rap, you combine metal, you combine new metal. Even the ballad on here, only God knows why. It's a ballad and it has its own feel to it than the rest of the album. So it certainly has a lot of different things for everyone. And a lot of people were introduced to Kid Rock with this album because a lot of people think this is his debut album, but it's actually not. Kid Rock's debut album was Grits Sandwiches for Breakfast right here, and that in like it is totally different than what we get here, and just because like it's hard to believe like this is 1998, but his debut album came out in 1990. Like I mean I had no idea up until I started like buying the catalog of Kid Rock or like at least these four albums because I'm not the biggest fan after these four albums. And you just never hear about the first three albums either, because they were on like smaller labels and such like that. So definitely interesting. So yeah, Kid Rock definitely hit, I wouldn't say the ground running, but like this is what put him on the map, like it changed his world. And and rightfully so, because like I will say that this isn't my favorite Kid Rock album, but I can totally get why people love it. You have Cowboy on here, which still ironically gets played sometimes on rock radio around here, surprisingly enough. Yeah, Ba with the Ba. Like that is a total like I don't want to call this album like new metal, but you can certainly tell there is a vibe of that in here, and obviously 1998, that's what's going on. Slipknot's hitting the scene, like Korn's around, just that new metal presence and like subgenre is that's what was popular at the time, along with like that like second wave of grunge, like alternative style metal, like the Creeds and Nickelbacks and stuff like that. And then obviously on the other side here, you do have new metal. So Kid Rock, or at least this album does kind of fall into that a little bit. At least that vibe. I wouldn't necessarily call it new metal, but it does fall in that vibe. It has that influence here. But you got the title track, "Devil Without a Cause." You have Joe C doing a little rap here, and that's the thing, like Joe C, like there's a lot of different things going on in all four of these albums. But you hear here because like I said, like every album has different influences. Like his influences are coming out in all of these albums, in all four of these albums. Like it's a different sound. Not one album sounds like the other, and that's what's actually really cool about Kid Rock. And you have also on here "I Am the Bull God," which is like an actual like rock metal song. Like you could put that on any metal radio, and people would be like, "Oh shit, okay." I mean, yeah, it does sound a little bit like late '90s, but I mean, it's not like something that you would expect from Kid Rock as far as like rap goes or anything like that. So. And then also too, "Wasting Time" is a great song. It's just a fun party song. Yeah, and I will say most of this album. Now, around this time, Kid Rock did sing a lot about drugs, drinking, women, sex, party. The whole nine yards, like sex, drugs, rock and roll type deal. But rap
You get drugs near me, you get knocked out. I'll just knock you out.
until we start like growing and hitting each album here. But "Welcome to the Party" is another fun party song as well. Like I mentioned, "Only God Knows Why." It is a really good ballad. But I think I kind of had my fill with this song. It's still an amazing song lyrically and just done awesomely. But like I said, when I was young, like I was like 8 or 10 years old, and I was like, oh, my parents would not let me really buy this for me, or want to listen to it in the car, because like guys, like I always mentioned, like we always had like the hair metal on in the car, which is awesome, But like certainly my dad was like, no, you're a little too young for this type of shit, and like he wasn't really a fan of the music anyway, Kid Rock and stuff like that. So that it was kind of hard, so I had to kind of sneak, my buddy's albums and stuff like that. But like my mom liked the ballads though of Kid Rock, so like I kind of was able to meet halfway with some of that stuff. So definitely, as far as this album goes, like I mean, it's good, but it's just not one I visit as much as some of the other Kid Rock albums. Uh, I don't know if it's just because I hear Cowboy on the radio all the time. You always hear like "Ba with the Ba" a lot. You hear "Only God Knows Why." I don't need to hear those songs really anymore. Not that they're not great or good or catchy or anything like that, but I think to me, there's other albums that I can listen to the whole way through and really enjoy the variety that they bring in, and just I feel more at home with some of the other styles that he brings on these other albums than say new metal, rap metal, and even like people like up until that point, you had like 24/7 Spies doing like kind of like a rap metal type deal. You had Beastie Boys kind of like doing their thing, not metal, but like they're doing their thing. But like when people, I was reading like reviews back in the day when this came out, people were comparing it to like License to Ill from Beastie Boys. And I gotta say, like, people were even saying like that, like Beastie Boys is like the corny version of this album of Kid Rock's Devil Without a Cause, which I totally agree with because I mean, I'm just not a Beastie Boys guy. And I think like this album totally, if we're comparing those two albums, Kid Rock's album totally blows away Beastie Boys. I'll listen to that album anytime over License to Ill. But I know, Beastie Boys is a, fan favorite. A lot of people love Beastie Boys, but and I'll just go with the Kid Rock stuff. It's just not nearly as corny. Has a way more metal of an edge, obviously. Just heavier, just better all around, I think. Better lyrically as well. Even especially when they're not talking. about the party side of things and just more seriousness. And we will get to that here with the next few albums here for Kid Rock. So now coming up here next, we are going to be going to the history of rock. Like I said, this is a compilation of somewhat. There are only a couple tracks, new tracks that were put up on this album. So the tracks are American Badass, which a lot of people know about that song. That is the song that the American Badass Undertaker came out to, like that was his theme song. But you did have another song that was previously unreleased, and that's called Abortion, which is an amazing song. One of my favorite ballads, I would say. It's like an anti-drug ballad, if you will. But you can kind of also see it like as what it says, abortion as well. Like there's a lot of different avenues, like when you're listening to it, that you can go down and just think and just put the lyrics to what you're kind of like feeling or thinking about and stuff like that. And it just works so well. Great guitar tone as well. Like the same thing with Prodigal Son. Not a ballad, but it's just a bad chunky tone, guitar tone to it. Great riff. Like it just straight attitude to it. Those are probably my two favorite songs off of this album, Prodigal Son and Abortion. Beautiful songs. Beautiful as far as Abortion and just a great like rocker, if you will, for Prodigal Son. But Paid is a very good one as well. It has like a very soul style to it, but in the chorus, there's like a female soul type singer singing, kind of like backing them up in the chorus, and it just sounds great. Very fun, but a funny type song though as well. Like, and I love in the song. Me and my buddy still think about this and laugh at this lyric. Some woman like ask him, Aren't you a little too old to be trick or treating?" And he says, "See my mask and bag, bitch. I ain't bullshitting." Like it's just like little shit like that throughout the song. It's just funny.
This is dark. This is it. He goes, Sam, when did we hit the bottom? This interesting sense of humor of yours. This is it.
But great song there nonetheless. Then you got the early Morning Stone Pimp. It does feature Joe C. Now Joe C is like his kind of like his hype man, if you will, and then he also contributed like raps and stuff in his earlier work as well. But this is a great song though, nonetheless. Love it. Very good. It's a slower to mid-pace song. But then you have songs like Dark and Gray, which really bring to the forefront like his metal side is starting to show. So like as far as like the history of rock here, he's he's dropping that new metal and like that new metal vibe and tone, and he's going to a little bit more of a heavier metal version of some of his songs and songwriting along with rapping, like the rap metal type deal. And like I said, working on a couple more ballads. But like I said, this is stuff throughout his first three albums. So, but then he re-records it to because some of the songs do have like a very early '90s rap sound and stuff like that, but it's just kind of remixed and re-recorded for to update it a little bit for the year 2000. So, but nonetheless, I really dig this. Like Three Sheets to the Wind is like has a rap feel, but it also has a rock feel though too. You Keep On is awesome. That's one of the songs that has that kind of like early rap, early '90s rap feel, in my opinion. A good kind of party song as well. I Want to Go Back is awesome, talking about how rough like it was him growing up in Detroit and stuff like. It's just good, very good, appreciative type song. Love it. Then you have like Fuck You Blind, Fuck That. Like it's so weird because like Kid Rock has like a certain I think his catalog is underrated. Now, granted, like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of like his newer stuff, like the past 10 years plus. Uh Probably 20 years. Probably 20 years plus. I'm not a fan of like I don't have any of his albums from the past 20 years. But man, like this this early career of his to mid career very underrated, I think. He plays around in a lot of different genres, subgenres and stuff, and he does it pretty well, in my opinion. But here, like even like this. Now, granted, he's coming off the Diamond album of Devil Without a Cause, and this goes two times platinum within the first year. And within 2 years of obviously the Diamond album. So like he's riding this high here and it's right before, Napster and And that's the thing that I will talk about here with the next album, and that is 2001's Cocky. To jump in here, guys, if you guys enjoy this content that we're doing here, please like the video, please share it, and then please subscribe. That helps the channel out so much, just helps everything that we're doing here. And also leave me a comment as well. Always interested to see what you guys had to say. Now let's jump right back into this video. So like this goes like 5 times platinum. And I think at this point, like everyone really kind of is starting to know who Kid Rock is. He's starting to really become like mainstream, if you will, if Diamond wasn't enough mainstream for you. But I think as far as like reaching different radio stations, because obviously you had Pitcher on this album, which I don't need to hear again. But for what I remember when that came out. People loved it. My mom loved it. It is a good song, but I do not need to hear the motherfucker again. Uh, and I'm just not a big fan. I'm not the biggest fan of like Sheryl Crow, obviously either. So like, I kind of wish there was a version of this where it's just Kid Rock doing like a solo version of this song, solo vocals. I would be really interested in seeing that. And basically, a big reason why this did sell so well is because of Pitcher. And it's just crazy to me because like you're still around the time I guess Napster comes out around this time. So like the album still sells, like albums still sell, physical copies anyway. So like he does get 5 times platinum. And also, too, you had 4 singles off of this. You had Forever, Lonely Road of Faith, You Never Met a Motherfucker Quite Like Me, and then Pitcher. So Pitcher's the last single, and obviously that's the biggest one, because I don't know anyone else that knows the other 3 songs. Well, the other two I would say, Lonely Road and You Never Met. I would say like your average fan probably doesn't really know those songs. So Pitcher is carrying all the heavy weight here. But nonetheless, Lonely Road of Faith, an amazing ballad. So here we go. Here we go. With Kid Rock on this album, he's starting to bring in the country roots a little bit. He's bringing in the southern rock roots a little bit here.
Okay, fellas, let's try one with that Memphis sound. Deep inside my heart, take one.
He still has that rap metal because obviously a little bit like Forever, the songs Forever and Cocky, the title track, they are has that rap metal to it, but it has a great crunchy riff as well too. Like he plays all of these subgenres very well and combines them in a blender very, very well, in my opinion. I think it works. It works for me, and but I will say at the time when this came out, I wasn't the biggest fan, but like I wasn't the biggest fan of blues music. I wasn't the biggest fan of country music. I wasn't the biggest fan of like the what he's trying to do here, what he's trying to incorporate on some of these songs when I was 10 years old. I mean, give me a break. Like now as I'm getting older, like when I started getting my like early 20s and stuff, I was like, okay, I am really digging what he's trying to do here. And then even to the next album, the self-titled album, a little bit more as well. But man, when I listen to this album now, I like it a lot. Because you have songs like "Lay It On Me." Now you do have a lot of mid-tempo to slower type stuff, a couple more ballads than usual here. What I learned out on the road, mid-tempo, fun. "Lay It On Me," same deal. "Lonely Road of Faith," like I said, is a power ballad basically, if you want to call it that. Midnight Train to Memphis. Yeah, this one it has David Spade on it. He's like the cocky guy on the radio because there for a little bit on this album, like it feels like Kid Rock kind of staying in this one type of lane as far as like slow to mid tempo, and then once David Spade says, "Hey, he's putting me to sleep" and shit like that, then Kid Rock comes in with a heavy part of the song, and does very well. Same thing with like "Drunk in the Morning." I love the intro or like the first like minute, 2 minutes of it where he's just singing and is like he's actually hungover, and it's just beautiful. But then it goes into a very hard, like heavy metal type song to finish off the song, the back half of it. Really good. And even like Snoop Dogg is featured on the final track here, WCSR. And it's just kind of like a tongue-in-cheek type rap song, funny, but it's just like the, Kid Rock's just laying it all out, and it's just really, really good stuff. Like I said, he's bringing in the country and the southern feel. Not as much country as we will see in the next album or even modern times. So he's sticking. There's a lot of southern feel to these songs, but it's just great. Good stuff all the way around. I can't recommend enough Lonely Road of Faith, especially if you like ballads. I think you would really enjoy it. It kills Pitcher. Pitcher, like I said, it's not a bad song, but man, I just don't need to hear that shit again. And it is what it is. All right, so moving on here to his sixth studio album. And now this one here does come out in 2003. This one here, I certainly will say I wouldn't say alienated from it because I did like a couple songs right when this came out. I remember picking it up. And like I said, 2003, I'm like, what, 12? No, 10, wait, 11. Because I kind of remember picking this up. I don't know if it was like brand new because I was only 11, so like I wasn't out like buying records yet for another year or two, like on my own. So I don't, but I think at this point I think my mom was like cool with it, and she probably ended up picking it up. So that's how I know about this album. But there are songs on here that I did like at first, including "Single Father." Great ballad about being a single father. Just really, really good stuff there. Now there is something here that I will make a point of that there are a couple covers on this album. You do have 15 total tracks, including the bonus track, with one intro song. So you have technically 14 new tracks, actual tracks, but three of them are actually covers. One is "Feel Like Making Love," which is fine, but if it's not "Dangerous Toys," "Feel Like Making Love," then I don't want to hear it. It's not going on the iPod. "Dangerous Toys" has the ultimate version of that song. So that's a track that could have been left off. You also have "Son of Detroit," which is normally like Son of the South" from David Allan Coe. Then you also have "Hard Night" for Sarah from Bob Seger on as a cover as well. So you do have a couple covers here, and you know how we feel about covers here. It's just I don't think it's really needed. I'm sure he had. I mean, even if you took the three off, you still had 11, 12 tracks. Like I don't think it's just necessarily needed to have three covers on this album. But got "Rock and Roll Pain Train," good song. Very good. "Cadillac Pussy" does have uh Hank Williams Jr. as a special guest on it, vocals. So obviously we're seeing more and more of this influence, and he even says it in one of his songs. I forget which song it is. He says something to the effect of like, "I want a headbang. I'm a heavy metaler, but rapping is what pays the bills." Back when he was young. So, and obviously from the early '90s, hair metal, heavy metal, thrash metal, all of that's dead in America after 1992. So yeah, what do you think is going to be paying the bills? He's not going to be going and making an album or a band that is just not going to get looked at. Because like an album like this isn't going to get looked at in 1993, 1994. It's just not, and it's a shame. But that's why he ended up evolving, and that's how you see the evolution of Kid Rock from the early '90s even to the late '90s. Awesome. I don't think it was necessarily anything like a bandwagon type deal, like as far as like, oh, I'm changing my sound because this is what's popular or anything. I don't think he ever really did that, at least up until here. Like I said, because I'm not the big, I never really listened to anything after this album, other than the stuff that you hear on the radio nonstop, but I don't think he really latched on to anything, and I think it was all true. At least up until this point, it was all true inspiration, like all of his influences and stuff like that, and even like his lyrics throughout the years, throughout the '90s and stuff, really points to that. If you're really listening, so and like songs like "Jackson, Mississippi" has like an Alice in Chains feel to it. Not necessarily like vocals, but like just that weird early to mid 90s. I don't want to say grunge either, but it just has that like weird vibe to it, that aura of a song, the atmosphere. So very good. Well, one of my favorites, starting to become one of my favorites off this album, Jackson, Mississippi. Cold and Empty is a really good ballad as well. I actually really like Do It For You as too. That's another really good ballad. So like Kid Rock's really expanding here, especially at this point. Um, I don't know, but it's not an album that I visit that much though. As far as like, I probably like half the album, and then the other half is just like okay, it's cool, but nothing really. Yeah, I'm not gonna visit it over a lot of these other albums. So I think I kind of said most of my piece that I want to say for these four albums.
This executive order is the fuck around and find out order, also known as the FAFO. This order is for everyone who fucked around and will now find out.
Hold it. This is a good one. Is everybody listening?
What I'm going to be putting here at number 4 is going to be Kid Rock's self-titled album from 2003. Like I said, there's good stuff on here. If I'm more in a country style mood, I will certainly be putting this on. But then again, I think the country style feel, the southern rock feel that this has as well, everything is better on, say, Cocky than, say, this. But there is still really good stuff on here that, like, when I do put it on, I'm like, ah, oh, fuck, I forgot about this song or whatever, and it works really well. And Single Fathers was always one of my favorites ever since I was young. So that is going in at number 4. So what we are coming in here at number 3 actually is going to be the diamond cut here, and that is going to be Devil Without a Cause. Not that it's a bad album at all. Obviously, it's one diamond, so I mean there has to be something here that everyone likes. But I do think it is a very good, mix up of all of this stuff, all of these genres and subgenres, and just great stuff all the way around. Like I said, I think I put it at 3 just because I don't need to hear the singles again. Like Only God Knows Why, Cowboy, Ba with the Ba. I don't really need good songs, but I just don't necessarily need to hear them again. And that kind of keeps me away from just putting this album on and letting it spin. So that comes in at number 3. Not necessarily nothing bad. So coming in here at number 2, we have Cocky. I really like this album more than I ever have as I keep getting older. I absolutely love the title track. I love Forever. The ballads on here are really good. Man, you close out the actual album with Drunk in the Morning, which was one of my favorite songs when I was younger. I used to just play it just for the intro of that song, or like the first 2 minutes of it. And then, man, it's just really good stuff. I can't say enough about this album because and just like the band behind him as well is really good because like the guitar player like he does nothing really like flashy throughout the catalog here, but everything that he does is needed and is perfect for that spot in the song or what have you. I do really take notice of that throughout this catalog. Like, love it, love his guitar player. Just love the band behind him in general. Good stuff all the way around. But we are putting Cocky in here at number 2. Number 1 is going to be, I guess, the compilation. That I guess you could say isn't fair, but most of my life growing up, I did not know that this was a compilation. So I always looked at it as an album. So that is why we were putting it here in this 4 squared. And I don't really want to talk about any of his newer albums, so that's why I'm going to put this here.
Am I wrong? No. Am I wrong?
So, great stuff all the way around. I wholeheartedly recommend, if you don't take anything out of this episode, please check out Prodigal Son and also Abortion. If you don't like either of those 2 songs and you're a rock person and like ballads, I don't know what to tell you if you don't like those 2 songs. You probably won't like really anything else from Kid Rock. I just absolutely, those are, like I said, those are my favorite songs, and that's probably why this album gets put up so high. But overall, though, it's just really good stuff. It has a good mixture of rap, rock metal, actual like metal, yeah, just everything, good stuff. Even a little bit of slice of country, you see a little bit of influence coming out in every album, and that's what's actually really cool. I like that. He adds variety to his albums, and it's just Cool. I like when artists do that, take chances. So, guys, let me know in the comments what you think of Kid Rock's catalog and also, well, mainly of these four albums, but let me know about his catalog as well.
Talk to me.
He was up there in the spotlight for a couple years, and he certainly delivered, and I appreciate him kind of pivoting a little bit or like bringing more of his influence in, like say with Cocky, that album. I just and kind of because it kind of alienated, I think, a little bit, like as he kept growing or as he kept releasing each album, like it kind of alienated his fans from say two or three albums ago. Like and each one that kind of and that kind of happened to me too because like I wasn't the biggest fan of Cocky or his self-titled debut when it first came out, but like as time goes on, I think like the fans and just the listeners like they start getting it and start appreciating it. And it's certainly my case anyway. So, guys, thanks for sitting here with me talking about Kid Rock and having me go back into the past a little bit in my childhood. And until next time, guys, stay out of that collateral damage. And if you guys enjoyed this Foursquare, check out this one right here.